Hi, this is Lindsay Kenny, EFT Master, and I want to give you a basic explanation of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, but probably a slightly different one than you've heard maybe on some other videos. I want to talk to you mostly about negative emotions and the profound effect they have on our body. I think in the last maybe 5 or 10 years, the medical profession has finally acknowledged that negative emotions have an effect on our body, we have physical reactions to negative emotions. I mean, we all know how our palms sweat when we get excited or upset about something. We clench our teeth if we get anxious and afraid. We get tightness in our neck and shoulder. We get headaches for lots of different reasons that are emotionally based. And our stomach gets upset for lots of emotional reasons. So it's clear that our body does have reactions to negative emotions. But what most people don't realize is that it goes way beyond that emotions affect us physically in many profound ways. Doctors and scientists now admit that 85 to 95% of serious physical illnesses can be attributed to unresolved negative emotions. So lots of negative emotions cause physical illnesses like Parkinson's, lupus, diabetes, heart disease, and there are lots of heart diseases, cancer, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, all kinds of physical illnesses can be traced back to unresolved negative emotions. In fact, I've dealt with just about every possible physical illness you can imagine that people come to me with, and every single one of them can be traced back to some traumatic event in their life. Somebody says, well, I think I contracted cancer about 2 years ago. I've been suffering from fibromyalgia for 4 years. I say, well, what happened 4.5 years ago or 5 years ago? And there's always some kind of a traumatic incident. Their parents died, they watched their brother be injured in an accident, they were divorced, or something happened, and then that sets the body off in the wrong direction, and their body starts becoming ill. We're not born ill. 95% of the people, 98% of the population is born completely healthy, but then things get us off on the wrong course. So how can that be? How can a negative emotion affect us such that we would contract a serious illness, or even minor illnesses for that matter, irritable bowel syndrome or upset stomach or clenched muscles in our neck? How can emotions affect that? Well, let me explain about the movements in the body first. There are really 4 basic, pretty evident movements in the body. Blood moving through our veins and arteries, breath moving through our respiratory tract, food and water moving through our digestive tract. And the 4th movement in our body is energy moving through pathways called meridians, 14 tiny pathways in our body that branch off into hundreds of pathways, and that moves energy through our body. That energy is such a vital life force that we would die without it. This isn't a woo-woo thing, a pretend energy thing. These aren't formed pathways or formed vessels or arteries like blood, but they are pathways. And the medical community measures that energy in the brain and the heart through EEGs and EKGs. It's an electrical pulse in our body. And when that's interrupted completely, we die. And it can be disrupted momentarily, semi-permanently, by negative events that happen. And so most people equate traumas. When they feel angry, they look at the event that caused that and think that's what caused it. If somebody kicks your dog, you become angry about that, upset about it. If somebody jumps out from behind a building and threatens you with a knife, you become scared. If your computer hard drive fries, you freak out. That's probably the worst thing that can happen, seeing smoke come out from under your computer. Well, it's not the event that causes the reaction. It's the disruption in the body's energy system. The cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system, some kink along those energy pathways. The cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system. So what does that mean? Well, it's like a kink someplace, an electrical shock. So when something negative happens out there, it causes an instantaneous shock in your system, and it happens instantaneously. So you don't equate it with, gee, somebody kicks my dog, I feel a shock in here, and then I get angry. It happens instantly. So we think A happens out here, B happens, I have an emotion about it. Well, what it is A, the event or the negative thought causes a disruption in your body somewhere, behind your knee, on your ankle, on your elbow, and then C, you experience the negative emotion. The bad thing about that is serious trauma, serious events, those disruptions stay in your body. Look at it as like a kink in a hose. When you're watering the garden or washing your car, water's coming out freely. That represents water going through your system. And when that hose is kinked, caused by an event on the outside, that stops the energy flowing in your body. And it's that blocked energy that causes illnesses. Because imagine lots of kinks in your system throughout your life. From the time you were a child and your parents were telling you to not do something, or that you got bit by a dog, or a kid pushed you down in the schoolyard, you were embarrassed in front of the class when you forgot a formula to write on the board, you got stood up by your boyfriend or girlfriend, some kids beat you up, on and on in your childhood. All of those are kinks. Every time something negative happens to you, it puts a little kink in your system. Imagine, instead of a kink, imagine a little tiny ball bearing being placed in your veins or arteries every time something negative happens in your life, and that little kink, that little ball bearing stays in your veins or arteries. Imagine through a lifetime of experiences, having your heart broken, having people die that you love, having disappointments, betrayals, embarrassments, humiliations, failures in your life. Those are all kinks or little ball bearings in your system, and the energy can't get through. Imagine the time you're 30 or 40, if you had the little ball bearings in your system, how heavy and burdened you would feel. Well, it's the same thing with your electrical system. You have all those kinks in there on all of those meridians, and they stay there until you undo them. And the only way that I know that it can be undone is through EFT, by unblocking those systems. And the way we know it works is because reason we know that the cause of the negative emotions is a disruption in the energy pathway is because when we unblock that system, undo the kink, the emotion just dissipates. So I want to give you a physical demonstration of how that works on our next video. So thanks for watching this one.